We're gonna make a queen size butterfly. Hey, this is Canary Quilts, and I have been waiting to do this since January. This came out as a pre-order in January, and I put it up. It's supposed to start in May, but didn't get shipped till September, so we are starting it now, and I am doing a quilt along. If anybody wants to join me on this, I know some of you are. Some of you may be here just to see what this is all about, see what this pattern's like, see what it looks like, and that is great, because if I can inspire you to make this quilt, then I would love that, because this is a beautiful quilt. This is not a beginner quilt either. This I think is labeled at intermediate advanced. I mean, most of these blocks are standard blocks per se. They're rectangles and squares. We do have a few that will have some curves in them. Those will come later. But by that time, you should be pretty well into this quilt and feeling pretty good about it. But anyway, you can head to my website, canaryquilts.com. I've got a link down below. You can grab my calendar here. You can either watch us put this together, or you can quilt along with us. You can grab the pattern and you can grab the fabric kit right here. So today's video, I'm going to go through the fabric kit. I'm going to show you what comes with it, how it looks, what I think about it, how well it's organized. I'm going to walk through the first couple pages and the last couple pages of the pattern. But I'm going to tell you what I think of the pattern and how to read it. So that's what I'm doing today. I've obviously cut some blocks and put them together to see how it goes, and that went really well. Very happy with this pattern. And you can see, and I talk about, you know, the different things in this pattern that you need to kind of watch out for, but make notes along the way so that, you know, you need 2 of each block, but the pattern only talks that you need 1. But anyway, so I've got, this is week 1 up here, these big intersection blocks. And this is week 1 right here, these chunky cross blocks. And then next week we're doing the floating cross blocks and the stripes here and here. So I've got the first 2 weeks done. So I've been able to go through the pattern and figure it out. So that's what I'm going to do today. If you're not doing this quilt and you're interested in seeing what it's all about, stick around. You can look at the pattern, you can look at the fabric kit and see what you think. Or if you're quilting along with me, you can see how I feel about this pattern and what I think and the notes that I make for this pattern. So hit the subscribe button, notification bell down below. You'll get notified every time I put out the next week. For this is going to be going through December 5th. And then you can see how it looks in the end, because it's going to be gorgeous. My mom is doing this quilt too, so we may have 2 quilts to show you. But anyway, yeah, let's get started. All right, first week of our butterfly quilt, 2nd edition. I'm not going to do this in every video. I'm going to show you the fabric pack. I'm going to go through the pattern. I've already cut my blocks, so I've kind of been able to read this pattern. I've read through the entire pattern, but it's different when you start cutting. So I wanted to cut and see how the pattern read also at that point. I haven't built a block yet, so I'm very confident that the instructions are very good to build blocks. But anyway, the pattern and the fabric kit are 2 separate things. I have links to both of these in the description below, and you will find a blog post on my website about this. I have links to the pattern and the fabric kit there also. What I'm going to do in my blog post also is I'm going to list out the fabrics I used for my blocks. And when we get to that, you'll find out why I'm doing that. If you want to use exactly the same fabrics I'm using, then you can go to my blog post and I list out the fabrics I use for the blocks there. The other thing is the back of this pattern has all the fabrics listed out. One thing she does not do in the pattern is tell you which fabrics to use in the block. So if you don't want to have to figure that out and take all that time. I have figured that out for myself, and you can use the same fabrics as I use. So, blog post is listed in the description down below, or go to my website, canaryquilts.com. You can find the blog post there, and each week I will have a list of the fabrics I used in my blocks. So you get all the fabrics in your fabric kit. So it comes, actually, it comes in this bag, which is really nice. It comes in this, it's like this cardboard pocket, which has worked out well because I've been able to just pull it out, open the pocket, grab the fabrics that I need, fold them back up, and put them back, and then it makes it easy to slide it back in. Great, it's great for the organization of all these fabrics. But this fabric kit, let me turn it over real quick. It includes all the fabrics you need to do the quilt top, including the background and the binding. Does not include the background. So right here is the background that they suggest. I have not bought my, or not background, my backing, sorry. This is the backing that they suggest. I have not bought my backing. I'm not going to do that till later on. It includes the, it says it does not include the pattern, which is right here. I had to buy that separately. The backing, which is what they say, this is what they recommend. And then additional tools would be, and they say the pattern would be an additional tool, obviously. They do suggest thread, and they suggest the 100% cotton 50 weight Tula Pink Unicorn Poop or Dragon's Breath Aurifil thread to match. I'm going to choose my thread at the end. I'm using, to piece it, I'm going to be just using an Aurifil neutral color in the top and bottom line neutral color in the bobbin thread. So I will also have all that in my website and included down below if you want to use the same threads as me. Template plastic. I don't have template plastic. The templates are going to come at the end. Those are going to be some of the last blocks we do. And the templates are in here, and you will have to copy these over. So I'm going to decide if I'm going to do it on paper or if I get plastic. I'll let you know the closer I get to that. That's what the kit comes with. Enough fabric to assemble the quilt top with the background, and this is the background color right here. What is the background color? Let's go back to our fabrics. Whimsy. Tula Pink's Designer Solids Whimsy. And then the borders are True Colors Mint and the binding. They have the backing in here, but not included in this kit. And then all the other fabrics. So this is, let me turn it back over. I don't want to mess it up too much. There's a bunch of squares right here. That is going to be the center body fabrics right here. Now, there is an option they give you in this to do it black and white. They don't give you black and white fabrics. If you want black and white, you'll have to purchase that separately. I'm not going to do black and white. I like the color. So these squares that are provided are all for this centerpiece right here. Then all the rest of the fabrics are the wing fabrics right here, and they tell you what they are, and they tell you how much they give you, either a quarter or an eighth of a yard. So there you go. Here's our eighth of a yard cuts, which I've cut into, and then all our quarter yard cuts are in here. Now these were kind of put together by color. I have been through this and pulled out colors so far. So it's not by color anymore, but it was very nicely packaged by color. That's what this looks like, the fabric pack. Extremely happy with this fabric pack. I have done a few other quilts, gotten packages from Free Spirit for other quilts, and I've been very happy with the amount of fabric they also give you. So I'm going to put this back. See? Beautiful. Fits in there perfect. So I am going to walk through this quilt, or this pattern real quick. Pretty well written pattern, I would say. I've read through it, and now that I've cut some things, I've kind of had to make my own little notes, but that's about it. So they show you a picture on here, which I have actually utilized to get my fabrics here. It has a table of contents, so when you want to work on something, you know, half square triangles, it tells you what page to go to, so you're not flipping through it, but not a very long pattern. They want you to read through all the instructions before beginning. I have done that. I suggest you do it also. Get used to what you're reading in this pattern. Accurate 1/4 inch seams. If you've quilted before, you know how important that is. Press all seams open unless otherwise noted. So important, we will be pressing all our seams open until it tells us to do something else. So that's pretty easy to remember. Organization is the key to keeping on top of this quilt. Okay, so my plan at this moment is I've just got these extra bags that fabric came in. I've got zipper bags. These zipper bags I got on Amazon that I love. I use them for so many projects. You can see through them. They're plastic, so God forbid you spill something, it won't damage it, and it zips up. So I'm going to use these are what I've got. And these zipper bags, I may order more. They come in several different sizes. I've got the large, the medium, and they have small. But I'm going to keep my blocks separated in these bags so that in the end I know what they are. I also have like mailing labels that I can write on that I can just stick on these so I know, you know, I can keep track of the name. So that's how I'm going to organize my blocks. And you know, it's a good thing too to do it if you cut and then you don't come back for a while. You can put this in here and you can say, oh, this is the chunky cross block cuts, and you can grab it. So you're not like trying to figure out what were these cuts and everything like that. So label your bags and you can keep your cuts and your blocks in that bag. The other thing is I just grabbed some paper and so I can write numbers on them, and you'll see why I have these numbers here. Label blocks as you go. That's what I just told you to do. Label your bags, however you're keeping track of your bags. If you're using these zip-up bags or zip-lock bags, label them however you want. If you have to stick a sheet of paper in or whatever, just make sure you label what they are, especially if they're just cuts at this point. It's really important to do it then. Label sections as they're completed. So we will be putting this together in sections. And in my to-do list, we are going to be spending 4 weeks doing sections. So we'll label those as we go. And this pattern assumes that you have some basic knowledge of operating a sewing machine and some piecing sewing experience. Yes, we all probably do have that. This is a fairly, I would say, difficult quilt, so I wouldn't make this the first one you do. Reading the pattern. I'm not going to show you the pattern back here because I don't want to, it's not my pattern. I bought this, and if you want to do it, you'll need to buy it, so for copyright issues, I'm not going to show you as we do the pattern, but I will show you cuts and everything like that. Number 1, the butterfly quilt pattern is made of 3 parts, and that is true. It's going to be all the blocks, which is page 4 through 14 will be all the blocks. 15 through 19, the pages, will be the sections. Beyond that is going to be the assembly, which is putting the sections together and the borders. So that's how this pattern's laid out. This is what each block is going to look like. So the first thing we have is the block name. Then we're going to have, it says the number of fabrics in the block. I'll take a little bit of issue with that in a moment. This block says 4 fabrics. It shows you basically the colorways of the fabric to use, even though there's different ones over here. It'll show you the unfinished size of the block. It'll show you for fabric 1 what you need to cut, fabric 2, fabric 3, and fabric 4, what you will need to cut. Each of these block diagrams or instructions, whatever you want to call them, is for only one block, and I circled that here. It's for only one block, but like in this one, you're gonna need 2. So what I did throughout this whole thing is I went through and went, okay, all the blocks that need 2, I'm gonna times this by 2. So I went times 2 times 2. You may wanna change your numbers over here, whatever you need to do to remind yourself. You need to cut, especially like for this intersection, you'll need to cut double what they're showing for each one of these. Important. You want to get it all cut at once. You don't want to have to come back. So the next one is, it shows you, each fabric shows you the size of pieces to cut for each fabric to make one block. So remember, we have to make 2, so you need to times it by 2. So it shows you the number of fabrics and the sizes of each fabric that you need to cut and the cuts inside of those. This tells you how many of these blocks you're going to have. So for the intersection block, we're going to make 10 blocks, and they're listed right here. This is total blocks in the finished quilt with varying placements of light and dark fabrics. There are 2 wings, so you make 2 of each block arrangement, 1 for each wing. This gives you the basic colorway. Now there's prints and there's solids in here. But what's interesting is it says number of fabrics is 4, but like this one only has 2. And when you look at the front of the pattern and you find these blocks, like this one is 3. This one is this, I think it's this block. No, it's this block. That is 4 fabrics. This one, I believe, is 4 fabrics. And this one was 3. If you want to do 4 fabrics, you can. I opted to go with basically what they're telling us here. So that's why I am going to put in my blog post which fabrics I chose for each one of these sets of blocks. So if you want to do the same thing, you can just quickly go in there and see which ones I chose. And I will label them by the name of the fabric that it is back here. So if I use Snapdragon, that's what I'm going to call it. And then you have in here how to assemble the block. And this is, like in this case, this is just half a block. It shows you, it's got these lines here that show you, like, the first one we're going to do is here. Second one we're going to add to that. Third one we're going to add to that. Fourth one we're going to add to that. Fifth one, add to that. And then 6, we're going to add to that. So we will have 2 of these sections. So that's why we're adding it there. So you will need to make 4 of these right here, and then you would attach 2 of them to the middle one here. So that's why it probably makes it a little more difficult of a quilt also. If you're a first timer, you may not understand that. Okay, so that is how you read each block pattern. It takes a little bit of reading, and you may want to go through and before you do the block, do this. Like you need 4 of those, or you're gonna have to times this by 2. Just keep in mind that every time you're reading this, it's only for 1 block. I just wanted to make that clear as we go forward. You'll probably have to make notes in your pattern. At least I will, to keep track of it. So I was gonna read through the sections, but I think what I'll do is wait to do that when we get to the sections here on November 7th. This is the beginning of the pattern. We've gone through the blocks. That's what we're going to be doing for the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. I'll go through the sections when we get to it. Over here, they've got like things that you need, but if you quilt, you pretty much have them all except for maybe the template plastic. The only other thing in this pattern would be if you didn't buy the fabric kit and you're wondering about doing this, you could color in with your own fabrics here. So it's a coloring page, and basically this would get mirrored on the other side. And it's a layout right here, top and bottom, the fabric, the templates. She goes through binding and finishing and shows some quilting, adding the borders, and how it gets laid out. So I've been through this page and I've been through the blocks. We'll go through the sections when we get there. So there you go. You can refer back to this video if you need to about the pattern, but I kind of just walked through it, give you my notes, my my feelings about it and how I'm going to keep track and organize everything for my quilt. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I enjoyed making it. And hit the subscribe button, notification bell, and you'll get notified for week 1. So we'll see you in the next video.